for Monday, March 17th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. Today on the show, we're going to be hearing from the head of Instagram with answers to questions like, does posting frequency affect algorithm ranking? Additionally, what's the best kind of content to post? Should I do talking head, text on screen, or vlog? How should I be using notes? All of these questions and more on today's show, but first, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Welcome back. Let's dive right into the questions and answers and do the one that I think is most interesting. Does posting frequency affect algorithm ranking? I would have said no, but surprisingly, that is not exactly what Adam said.
Your posting frequency can affect your reach, but it isn't the most important thing. If you post too much, it could be that your followers are just getting frustrated. If you post like 9 things in a day in the feed. If you want to do that and you want to avoid it affecting your reach or bothering any of your followers, try using trials to just post to non-followers. But if you post not at all, like you don't post for a couple months, that can also hurt your reach because this isn't on purpose, but our ranking system doesn't have any recent data to train on. And so it's knows less about who's interested in your content. I try to post at least a couple things a week when it comes to permanent content, and I try to post stories every day. But there is no perfect rule. Every follower base is different, so I would experiment and see what works for you.
That answer was a little bit surprising. Next question. Is it normal for my reach to fluctuate a lot? I would say yes. People are sometimes very online and sometimes they are less online. I notice, for instance, my friends, if it is a nice day, are spending less time staring at their phones. Here's Adam's answer to that question.
It is normal. Now, I wish reach could be more stable, but in general, it is relatively volatile. I see regularly, on the order of 4 or 5 times the reach of my best post in a month and my worst post in a month. And that is pretty normal. If you're seeing a lot more than that, that is not as normal. Maybe you had a really amazing post that just went viral. But if you're seeing something like 10, 20, or 30x regularly between your best and your worst in a week or in a month, that is not what we expect, so please let us know about it.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. What's the best kind of content to post? Talking head, text on screen, or vlog? Adam typically answers these questions by saying that you have to experiment. I'm going to let him give his answer, and then I'm going to give mine.
The honest answer is it's different for every creator, right? I'm not a creator who you're going to want to see dance or sing or do things like that. So I'm not doing music reels or dancing reels or singing reels. I'm what we would call a talking head. For other creators, that doesn't make any sense at all. So I would try to think about what story you want to tell, what you want to get out of Instagram, what content you might be able to produce that you think is going to be engaging for an audience out there, and experiment with formats that line up with that, whether it is a talking head or a dancing video or a duet or whatever other format might, pique your fancy.
Okay, I agree with that answer, but I want to add some caveats to it. First, whatever content you create, I think you should be proud of it. You should be able to use your Instagram as a portfolio where you can show people your best work and they can go there and see things that you are proud for them to see. Additionally, it should be content that does not take you so long to create that you're not able to make it regularly. And additionally, it should not be so much effort to create that you burn out when you're on a regular schedule of creating that content, whatever it is. I tend to think that the formula is something like the best you can do minus 10% so that you can do it more consistently. That's just a ratio I keep in mind. It doesn't have to be exact, but I think you get the point. Let's go on to the next question. Can anyone use trial reels or just creators? Now, interestingly, in this answer, Adam Mosseri says something that I haven't heard before. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I'm going to let him say it and then I'll give my take.
Trials are designed for creators predominantly and businesses, but they are eligible to all public accounts as long as you have 1,000 followers. It is, though, a tool that we aren't actually trying to encourage people to use to post about friend content with. It's more if you're trying to make a name for yourself and grow your reach on the platform and you have a public account, trying to figure out how you might be able to experiment without worrying about what shows up in your profile or about bothering your followers.
I think that answer gives good context, but what he said about trial reels only being available if you have 1,000 followers or more is something that I have not heard before. I noticed online people were referencing this video clip and saying that they had accounts with less than 1,000 followers that did have access to trial reels. However, having said that, if you don't have access to trial reels and you have less than 1,000 followers, that could in fact be the reason. All right, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about notes, guides, and features that Instagram should have but does not. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Continuing with the questions and answers from the head of Instagram, the next, what should I post on Notes? Are there any new Notes features coming? Here's Adam's answer.
Notes are a way to communicate with your friends, people who not only you follow, but who follow you as well. So people you probably know in real life. So it's a little bit less about trying to reach a lot of people or increase your reach overall as a creator, and a little bit more about how you might use Instagram to connect people with that you care about. So I use them to let people know where I'm at, what I'm thinking about, what I'm up to, sort of a lightweight status.
I personally have been using Notes as a place to write inside jokes. If I went out with my friends and something funny happened and we laughed about that thing several times, I will write that as my status the following day. Some of them will be in on the joke and some of them will not. But when I see it, it'll make me laugh. And if they remember the evening, they will laugh as well. And everyone is feeling connected. Let's go on to the next question, which is about Instagram guides. Do you remember guides? It was a feature that Instagram had for some time. They took away. But basically, you could make a collection of content and then share it publicly. They did not perform very well in the algorithm, and they did not get featured the way regular posts did, so it was a little bit confusing. The question, the guides section, will it ever be back on Instagram? Here's Adam's answer.
No plans to bring back the guides tab on the profile, sorry. I personally did love guides, but they were used very little. And in general, we try to identify features that are used very little and just add complexity to the site for everybody else, and then remove them from time to time. So for those of you who love guides, I feel for you. I hear you. I love them too. But we do need to try and do more actually to keep Instagram simple and easy to use.
That does make sense. There are so many different ways to post on Instagram. The list goes on and on. But I would say that if you did miss guides and you wanted to make something similar, you could do that, number one, with a carousel. Or number two, you could make a collection of posts and then you could share that with your friends via DMs. So for instance, if you were going on a trip and you came across several places where you wanted to go while you were on that trip, you could make a collection out of those, call it Road Trip 2025 or whatever, and then share it with the friends who are going to be going on that trip with you. It's not 100% like guides, but I feel like it gets you most of the way there. The next question has to do with AI. How do you use AI for work? I don't know what to use it for. I'm going to let Adam explain how he uses AI for work, and then I will say how I use it.
Predominantly, I use services like MetaAI to proofread and give me feedback on my writing. I use them to do research about topics that I'm trying to understand and technologies that I'm trying to understand better. Those are probably the dominant two use cases. So, as a creative tool and as a research tool.
I love AI for two things, transcription and summarizing. If I am to take a long piece of audio or video, chuck it into ChatGPT or Google Gemini and ask for it to be transcribed word for word, I can get that transcription back quickly and easily. Then I can ask for ChatGPT or Gemini to summarize that long audio or video into however many bullets I ask for. I could say, give it to me in 3 bullets, give it to me in 5 bullets. This is fantastic for meetings that I was in, or if I did a podcast interview and I want to load the transcription for people to read in case they want to read it instead of listening to it. All of these things AI can do very easily, and I'm a big fan of that. Okay, let's go on to the next question. I wish there was a way to copy text in comments. Will that ever happen? That actually would be very helpful.
This is good feedback. I had thought you could long press and copy, but it looks like you cannot, so I will talk to the team.
I love when he actually takes feature suggestions on board. And the last question we're going to talk about, what messaging apps do you use? I'm going to let Adam say what messaging apps he uses, and then I will share mine.
My primary messaging app is definitely WhatsApp. I got family in Israel and in Germany. I lived in the UK for a year, so my life in terms of messaging is primarily anchored on WhatsApp. I use Instagram a lot to talk about things, about my interests with my friends, sending them soccer videos, funny videos, things about architecture and design. But WhatsApp is my primary.
I am in America and I spend most of my time communicating with other people in America, and therefore I use texting. I admit that texting has its flaws, but here in America, it is guaranteed that people can text you regardless of whether or not they're on WhatsApp, Signal, Instagram, Facebook, Messenger. The list goes on and on. But text, you are always going to be able to get them. Common denominator, it always works. Having said that, I do get very frustrated with WhatsApp and Instagram DMs and even Facebook Messenger because I have certain friends who always want to use those platforms. I have been using Beeper, which is an all-in-one messaging solution. I highly recommend it. It's not perfect, but it's free. It integrates with all of the major messaging apps that you use, including Slack and Discord. Even LinkedIn DMs can go to Beeper. It works fairly well without any hiccups for the most part, and it gives you that universal inbox experience. So when you open up the Beeper app on your phone or your computer, you can respond to everyone, regardless of what messaging app they've been using. I feel that it's been a while since I plugged Beeper. I made a video about it when it first launched. I'll link to that video in the show notes so that you can watch. Check it out if you have not seen it before. If you're looking for a better way to manage your messages, I am going to recommend Beeper. That's it for today's show. As always, thank you for listening, and be sure to come back next time for more social media news, strategy, and other things that you absolutely need to know.
Let me tell you a couple things that you should know about me. A product manager, but do not have a bachelor's degree. But actually, that's factually a fraction of me. And other fractions posting content irregular and irrationally. Still probably won't get a job at the Gram. They forgot, they don't know, or don't care who I am. That's why you never see me at the parties and events. My lack of followers must make me irrelevant. Don't have a course, a book to sell to make a bag of grand. Not a social media marketer, don't represent any brands. Plain to see, don't have an agency, but I got a lot of spam. Just putting in my work, without the glitz and glam. Won't catch me eating fish, unless it's shrimp or clam. No six pack, no risk that, there's a gym card in my hand. Don't have a full-time job, but I got a lot of plans. Stay plotting, dropping knowledge on TikTok and Instagram.